Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks provides unique mentoring opportunities to enhance your modeling skills by connecting with talented modelers and manufacturers from around the globe who generously share their knowledge and artistic expertise. Build your confidence, refine modeling techniques, and share your projects with a supportive community of fellow modelers, all while enjoying the world's most rewarding hobby. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom and YouTube for our free live program. Missed a program? No problem. Individual show segments are uploaded to YouTube for convenient on-demand viewing. Be sure to connect with the New Tracks community by joining the New Tracks Facebook page, where you can interact with other modelers and see what they are modeling. Visit our website at www.newtracksmodeling.com, where you'll find information about upcoming events and the latest issue of our magazine, New Tracks Modeler. New Tracks Modeler features articles from builds on the show, exciting new products, and other great articles. And now, here is the host of New Tracks Modeling, Tom Farrell.
Good evening, and welcome to New Tracks Modeling, streaming live, just as we do every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're pleased you're here. Whether you're a seasoned modeler, new to the hobby, or just enjoy the show, we welcome you. This broadcast, along with our 5 other platforms, which include the program you're watching now, live, our New Tracks website, our Facebook page, the New Tracks Mentoring Scholarship Program, and our New Tracks Modeler digital magazine, is part of a broader vision created by Jim Kello, Master Model Railroader and New Tracks Mentor. All platforms are offered free of charge and are supported by a dedicated team of volunteers who are passionate about model railroading. Before we board our first-class train tonight, we want to sincerely thank Brennan's Model Railroading for sponsoring this evening's program.
Tonight's New Tracks Modeling Meetup is sponsored by Brennan's Model Railroading. For over 25 years, Brennan's Model Railroading has been offering unique products focused on the O-scale market. Their flagship product, Brennan's Better Ballast, was an instant hit and continues to be the industry leader. The prototypical size and natural color blend of real crushed granite make it the choice for discerning modelers. Since then, Brennan's has developed a complementary line of natural ground cover materials. Brennan's also has craftsman kits that anyone can build. The complete photographically illustrated instructions assume you've never done this before, and explain in step-by-step detail how to create an outstanding model. The Frank Ellison Tribute series of kits are amazing additions to any layout. These kits take Frank Ellison's scratch-built iconic structures to a new level using modern methods and materials with Dennis Brennan's additional details and amazing instructions. See the complete line of products on the Brennan's Model Railroading website. Use the QR code to visit.
Thank you for sponsoring the show, Mr. Brennan, and our viewers. I encourage you to go on his website, see what he has. Presently, we're running a special on his Garfield substation. If you put in the code NEWTRX, you'll get a $20 off his O-scale new laser cut kit, which is lists for $159.95. You'll get it for $139.95. It is part of a build along. Tonight we have our MyBuild, as you'll see, so we won't be featuring the build along till next week, but that gives you time to purchase one and build it side by side with me. So now let's take a quick look at what's coming down the pike on tonight's meetup. First up, we're going to have Jamie Bothwell. He's going to do a report. No, that's not the right one. He's going to do a report on the National Association of S-Gaugers convention. And next, we'll have Pat Rivard, scratch building a concrete coal tower, no scale. And then the MyBuild, which is one of the most popular segments we have with Chris Course. So it's going to be an interesting show this evening. And we've got a great caboose from Phil. Uh, and yeah, okay. So before we roll into our first station, I'd like to spotlight the New Tracks Modeling Scholarship Program.
The New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship is the only national scholarship for model railroaders from a volunteer nonprofit organization. For academic year 2025-26, we are awarding 4 $2,000 scholarships for model railroaders pursuing a STEAM degree. We hope to award a similar number of scholarships for the 2026-27 academic year. We believe it is critical to support the next generation of model railroaders. You can support the New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship by donating online using the Zephy platform or directly by check. All donations are tax deductible.
I don't know if we have Hank Primus on this evening. Is Hank on? Or Bob Davidson?
Yeah, there I am.
Hank is there?
I'm here at the moment. I'm off the coast of Massachusetts, got a lot of weather, so I may disappear at any time.
Why don't you say a couple words here about the program?
Well, one of the things I want to say is that it was very rewarding to be able to award 4 scholarships this year to the young people in model railroading. We need to do things that help to support the young people coming into the hobby. And I think that most of us look back, things like school, starting work, and things like that get in the way. So, with that being said, we appreciate every dime that we can get, because the more we get, the more scholarships we can do. We don't take any money out for expenses or things like that. All the money that we receive is for scholarships. So even though you think $5, $10 may not be worth it, it's very, very, very helpful to us in this program. Please get on Zephy or send a check, and we would be able to use that money gratefully. We appreciate all the help that comes in. Thank you.
Thank you, Hank. Hank is the new executive chairman of the scholarship program, or will be shortly. And we've handed the reins over to him. As Hank said, even a small donation makes a difference. As I said in the past, when my voice wasn't failing, if the 200 to 300 people that watch this show each put in $10, that would be $2,000 to $3,000. If half of the members' subscriptions, we get about 10,000 people on the magazine. If half of those put in $5 or $10, that'd be an enormous amount of money. And as Hank said, all the money goes towards a scholarship. And as you saw over the last 2 months or month and a half, 6 weeks, when we interviewed these young model railroaders, young STEM students, they're very deserving individuals. They're the future of the hobby, as well as the future of the country. But they all have a sincere interest. I mean, just unbelievable interest in model railroading. So we want to encourage that. So we want to encourage you to make a donation. So thank you, Hank, and thank you for any donations. Okay, so now we're going to start the show. Before we start the show, the next segment is News and Views at Scale with Jamie Bothwell. He's going to report on the National Association of S-Gaugers Convention. Before he speaks, we're going to run his sponsor, which is the National Association of S-Gaugers.
Are you looking for something a little different in your model railroading? The National Association of S-Gagers suggests you take a look at S-Scale. An S-Scale model is just 36% longer than an HO model, but it's 2.5 times the volume. The larger size translates to increased ease of maintenance, more durable details, and improved electrical and mechanical reliability. S-Scale modelers use accurately proportioned wheels and track systems with KD-style couplers. Exceptional S-Scale models and layouts are being built in both standard and narrow gauge. Locomotives and rolling stock are available from a number of manufacturers in both ready-to-run and kit form. Equipment is available both new and through an active secondary market. There are numerous manufacturers of track, buildings, vehicles, and details, both ready-to-run and in kit form, available for those who love to build. And many S modelers enjoy kit bashing and scratch building in the larger size S offers. To learn more, visit the website of the National Association of S-Gagers. Here you will find the history of the scale, information about clubs in your area, see layouts and connect with current manufacturers and online groups, plus much more. In short, the website has everything you'll need to explore model railroading in S-Scale today. Come on board and visit soon.
It truly is a unique scale. It has mass to it, yes, yet it doesn't take the space of O scale. It's a nice little niche, and especially with all the abundance of equipment that's out there, if you're going to upscale from N or HO, consider it. Well, next up, as I said, is Jamie Bothwell. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here, and thanks for the little plug there. Yep, we S-scalers know the secret. It's the best of the scales. So anyway, so back in August, well, I guess still August, back earlier in August, we ran our annual convention, and I was sort of knee deep in the hoopla again. I'm looking forward to next year's convention when I can go as more of an attendee rather than an organizer. So I will share with you my screen here. Let's see, where did it go? Why is this not showing up? What the heck? All right, give me just a sec here. I had it up. Where did it go? Google Chrome, Zoom, there, new tracks, modeling links. Okay, nope, that's not what I want. I want this. Okay. All right, so let me just try to go back to Zoom here. All right, so now if I share, hopefully it'll come up. Yeah, there we go. All right, there it is. Okay, and we'll go to here. What am I getting here? View slideshow. Okay. So there you go. Let me just close you guys up so I can look at my whole screen. All right. So news and views of S-scale from me. And it's not going. Gotta go down to here. Okay. So highlights from the 2025 NASG convention, August 6th through 9th in Norwich, Connecticut. We were in Norwich, Connecticut this year. It was a nice little town, although we were sort of out on the outskirts of it. We ran a convention car. It's this ERDX refrigerator car. It's Eastern States Farmers or something. I forget what it is anyway. Here's a little plug for S-Scale's durability. When I was taking these pictures last night to put into the slideshow, the car fell off the chair, dropped about 2 feet down to the ground, and was completely unscathed. So there you go. S-Scale cars, very tough. So there are several of these still available. In a few days, maybe give us a week, they would be available on the NASG website. I don't know if you have to be a member to purchase them. I'm not sure. Anyway, but there are a few left. You probably could get one. Okay. Wednesday, we offered a tour to the Mystic Seaport. I'm just going to whip through these. I got kind of a quick slide for each thing, and then I got a little bit of a blurb at the end. So Wednesday's tour is the Mystic Seaport. I didn't go. This photo was taken by Joe McGee. Okay, there's the website if you want to look up Mystic Seaport. On Thursday, we went to the Essex Steam Train. If you've never been to the Essex Steam Train, it's obviously in Essex, Connecticut. They run this little passenger train here. Of course, I was very interested in that first car because it's a Pullman Parlor, but we rode coach. Okay, so we were further back in the train in the coach. I've been to Essex a few times, 4 or 5 times. It's the first time I ever rode the train, so good for me. And then after the Essex train, there's the Essex Steam Train website if you want to check it out. If you're ever in Eastern Connecticut. We went down to the Shoreline Trolley Museum, which is in East Haven, Connecticut. And then this is a picture of a and it's a non-running trolley that they've got that just sits out there all the time. Of course, we rode the trolley. I honestly didn't take a lot of pictures. I was too busy herding the cats. So anyway, there's their website. You can check them out. Okay, there were 3 or 4 display layouts at the convention. This one is the most scale-oriented of the bunch. It's Lockburn, Ohio, 1900. This was put together. We ran the convention 2 years ago in Harrisburg, and then last year we were in Harrisburg again. And these guys came to the first Harrisburg, and they're like, "What do you mean you don't have a layout for next year?" So they went home and built this layout in like a year. It wasn't quite done last year, but now it's much more complete, and it's been accepted to several English train shows. It's going off, I believe, this fall. They're going over to England to display it in several train shows over there. So. But anyway, like I said, one picture each. That's what I got. There's their website. You can go check them out directly if you want. Okay, so as a representative of contest, I put in this model. To me, this is interesting for a number of reasons. My friend Buff Buffington made this model, and his wife's name is Jackie. If you know anything about the Pennsylvania Railroad, this is a model of Jack's Tower, which was out near Mount Union. And so he's named it Jack Tower, which is like after his wife. So that was kind of cute. I thought that was neat. So he put in a nice interior. It was very, very nice building. So he did well in the Master Craftsman category of the contest. So again, I'll get to that in a minute. But okay, if you had to sum up the vendor hall in one word this year, it would have been track. We had like 3 companies that were talking about track. So this guy, Empire Track Works, this is Alan Loazo. There was a time when he was going to be on New Tracks. I don't know if they ever worked that out or not, but you can see he makes custom switches in SN3, ON3, and ON30. So you can contact him even if you're not an S-scaler, he'll make you some turnouts. He also devised this 3D printed track strip. And what you do with this is you put that black thing up at the top, you put the tie strip in it, and then that holds it still, and you run the rail under the spike heads. Years ago, back in the early days of S-scale or the dark ages of S-scale, we had a product called Miller tie strip, and it worked much like this. So this product works like the Miller tie strips in that you get the ties and then you supply the rail, and it's kind of like make your own flex track, I guess you could say. So there's a close up, and you can see that's all 3D printed, and then you just slide the rail into the tie plates, and away you go. So I am going to play with this a little bit and then come back at a later segment and show you what I've done with it. He was interested in knowing, like, what kind of radius could you bend it down to and stuff like that. So that was an interesting thing. These guys, Microengineering, you've probably heard of, but Microengineering is sort of branching into S-scale. For a long time, if I have this story straight, they were making S-scale flex track that then another company sold. And that company guy, because in S-scale, everything's a person. That person decided he wanted to retire. And so he sold off he put his molds up for sale, and Microengineering was the one who ended up with them. Now you can see they're holding turnouts. They're also working toward producing a number 6 and a number 8 turnout ready to run. So that's an interesting development. Okay, so hopefully that's going to be made by Microengineering. And so that's that. So that was track. So Microengineering, I believe they had code 83 and code 70 flex track there that you could buy, but they also are working on code 100 flex track. The problem is that they're waiting on rail. So the rail's on the boat somewhere between here and England, and when they get it, they will start stamping out code 100 flex track also. Okay, this is scale trains. Scale trains, Des Plaines Hobbies is somewhat connected to scale trains, and this is some of the stuff that S-Scale America, some of the, I don't know exactly how this all worked out, but some of the S-Scale America stuff ended up with scale trains, or maybe, and then but the reason I'm talking about track is there's also a group in here called Fox Valley that's connected with Des Plaines, and possibly S-Scale America, and they announced a restock of their track, which is a more of a high rail product, but still more track. So they had track and turnouts. I think they had a number 6 turnout, and then they offered flex track also. And then of course, as another sort of new product or old product or whatever, is those are some items that they have had in the works for some time. If you're sharp-eyed, you can see that that's an SD45, and that was sort of announced for a while and it disappeared, and so they're talking about maybe actually producing that. So that would be a great boost to the S-Scale world. And then of course there's a stack car back there, like a triple unit stack car, and another sort of shorter covered hopper. So anyway, those are things, if you zoom in on that, you can see, what would you like produced? We could do this, this, and this. So they're seeking opinions. One of the neat things about S-Scale is that, you can actually make suggestions to the manufacturer. I always say in S-Scale, you only buy from a company once, and then you buy from a person. So it's like the first time you buy from American Models, you're buying from American Models, but then the next time you're buying from either Karen or I forget his name anyway. But you don't buy from Des Plaines, you buy from Matt, right? So it's we deal with people, not companies, because we're sort of small like that. So if you want some more photos of the convention, just like the video said, go to the NASG website, nasg.org, and there are a lot more photos of the convention. Okay, so I just try to whip through, show you, one each kind of thing. Like there's a lot of other models in the contest. There's a lot of other photos of the vendor hall, photos of the Lockburn layout, although you can also just go right to the Lockburn website if you want to do that. So all of those are available for you to visit at the NASG website. Check it out. Now, another little special thing for me is a little personal history of my S-Scale journey here. You can see that this is a copy of the S-Gauge Herald, a magazine that's come and gone a couple of times in S-Scale. This is from March. This is the March-April 1976 issue. Okay, so I would have been all of about 14 years old, and my family was on an excursion, and I wandered over to a hobby shop, and there, lo and behold, they had the S-Gauge Herald. And since I was on vacation, I needed something to read, so I invested 65 cents and bought a copy of the S-Gauge Herald. And in that magazine, there was an article called Pasteboard Pullman, and it was by a guy named Bill Bauscher, and Bill Bauscher made these beautiful passenger cars by laminating layers of pasteboard, which is sort of like cardboard, right? So he was laminating these cardboard layers together. And let's see, I think the next slide, there's this 3-layer method. Okay, so he would have, again, this is a Pullman car up here that he was building. Interestingly enough, it's an 812, what I've been building on the show for a bit here. But you can see that, this would be sort of the outer layer. And then there's an inner layer that this was the layer that you would slide the windows into. You see that little slit right there. What he would do is he would leave a space in there and sort of slide a window plastic into that little slit, and it would come across all the windows. And then that's the match of that layer, right? This is like, each of these, there's 6 pieces because there's obviously 2 sides to the car. And then this piece here would be like the interior of the windows that would have the, so you could see like the, what am I trying to say? Like the sash, right? So this would be like the sash. So this is the outer window, this is the sash, and then this piece was a hole that was like the 3rd layer, and then you'd slide the window plastic in between the 2nd and 3rd layers to get windows. Okay, so I bought this magazine. It had part 2 of this article. Well, it turned out it was a 3-part article. I searched for a solid 10 years, finally found the other 2 issues. And then, when I actually became an S-Scaler and met some other S-Scalers, somebody had, I've got all the S-Gauge Heralds. You can look them up if you want. And so I found the other 2 articles and I Xeroxed them. And I've been, at some point I actually met Bill Bauscher at one of the conventions. He was from Massachusetts, so one of the conventions in Massachusetts, I actually got to meet Bill Bauscher. And again, one of these there. And Bill has since passed away, and the Bristol Club, who was very helpful in running the convention, they acquired a large number of his cars, and occasionally they have appeared for sale. And lo and behold, at this convention, take a good look at that Pennsy baggage car right there. Lo and behold, at this convention, some of those cars came up for sale. And I looked them over. Of course, I've wanted one for a number of years. I would have really liked an actual Pullman, but of the choices I was offered, I liked this baggage car the best. There were several cars. He was an absolute master craftsman. The stuff he built was amazingly detailed and well made for its time. And but they had a number of wood cars that he had built, but I didn't want a wood car. I wanted a pasteboard car. So of the pasteboard cars, I basically had two choices. I had this Pennsy baggage car or a Pennsy coach, and I decided I liked the baggage car better. So there you go. And if you check the number, what you'll notice is it's the same baggage car that was in the article. So I actually have pictures of it in the magazine that I bought way back in 1976, however long that was ago. And then now I actually own that baggage car. So I was very happy to get a hold of that. It was pretty cool to do that. So I have so one of the guy that sort of, was helpful in getting me started in S-Scale or knowing that S-Scale was viable and interesting. And now I own a car that he built. So that was my big purchase at the convention. And I was very happy to walk away with that. There's a close-up of the rivet detail. Again, you can maybe his decal work is, a little heavy duty, but still it's very nice. He embossed all those rivets by hand. And again, amazing detail for the sort of time frame that it was produced in. And that's what I got for tonight. Thanks.
That's an excellent presentation and a terrific story. It's like buying a John Allen freight car in HO.
Yeah, exactly. And I do have a number of items I've purchased over the years from, if you would say famous S-scalers, so there are a few of us out there that are, quite prolific, and I have managed to acquire a couple of cars that I'm thinking, maybe I need a display case for these. I don't, necessarily want to run them on the layout, just put them in a display case and let people look at them because they're just nice. So, anyway.
We run them. Tell us, before you go, tell us a little about that show. Was it well attended? What would you guess the attendance would be?
We had about 200 names that, between primary registrants, wives and children, vendors, and one-day people, we had around 200. Let's, 205, 210, I don't know, something like that. But, about what we've had in the last few years. So, we move around a little, and then so it's kind of like, there's a pretty good S-scale population up in the Northeast. I mean, obviously, American Flyer came out of New Haven, Connecticut. And so Connecticut is a pretty big S-scale hotbed, as well as New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. Pennsylvania's got a pretty good crowd. So, when you move up to Connecticut, there's a bunch of local guys that'll kind of come by for a day or two or whatever. And then, like next year, we're going out to Michigan. So I'm sure there'll be some local folk out there, but maybe some of these people from Connecticut won't get all the way out to Michigan. So, there's kind of a cadre of folk that show up kind of every year to this. And then there's sort of the local folk that maybe would come when it's in their own neighborhood. So but we generally get around 200 people. That's been sort of the number we've had for the last several years. So. And
there are conferences as well, or presentations and things?
Oh yeah, there was a whole slate. I didn't really go into the program, the clinics. We ran a whole slate of clinics. I mentioned in the pre-show that my friend Andy Millett and I ran a clinic called "You Might Be a Rivet Counter If." And so we talked about, the sort of the history of rivet counting and what it means to be a rivet counter, and the idea that you don't just have to count rivets, So, one of my lines was, if you've measured the same underframe part on 3 different Pullman cars in 4 different states, you might be a rivet counter. So it was, the whole thing was about, like it's not really just about counting rivets. It's just like obsessive detail. One of the other ones was, if you've ever built a box car with a fully detailed interior and then glued the doors shut. you might be a rivet counter. So anyway, rumor has it that's going to show up on the NASG website. So, if you want to see the comedy duo there. And then of course I also did, believe it or not, I did a program on kit bashing Pullman cars. Can you imagine? So I did that, and that was that was a lot of the, if you watch New Tracks, you saw a lot of the, if you went and saw that program, you'd say, hey, wait, I saw that picture before. And then, we had several other clinics. Somebody gave a clinic on like the local railroads, like what kind of railroads, the prototype history of railroads in Eastern Connecticut. And then I'm trying to remember what else. Somebody gave forced perspective was one. One was about uh, uh, something about box cars, history of box cars. So, and I wanted to see more of these, but I was, again, how's the table going? How's the model room going? I was sort of jumping back and forth. But anyway, there is a list. If you go to the website, you can see a list of all the clinics that were given. Again, I didn't, like, you can see a lot more model photos. You can see a lot more of what went on in the vendor hall, a whole bunch more pictures of the tours. I didn't want to like stretch this out forever and show you every single picture, because if you want to see them, you can go to the website and they're all there. So,
Well, thank you again, and I'll be checking the website out. Maybe we can get some of these guys to do a presentation on new tracks. Yeah,
okay, well, I know a few of them, so if you need an in, let me know.
get you to get it.
So,
Work on that.
okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Jamie.
Oh, okay. So Mark wants me to mention that next year's commit. I said Michigan. It's in Dearborn. Okay, so Dearborn, Michigan, right close to the Henry Ford Museum and it used to be Greenfield Village, but it's got some new name now. It's all called the Henry Ford or something like that. So
Never
anyway,
been to Henry Ford Museum. It's one of the finest museums, probably in
yes, especially if you like automobile cars.
trains in there and everything
Yeah, a
else.
few trains, and then Greenfield Village has got a real railroad that runs around, so that's kind of cool. So
Might
anyway.
have, oh, I'll ignore the S gauge, but I'll go to the Henry. No, just kidding. Well, thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Oh, no, thank you. Well, next up, we've got Pat Rivard. He's going to show us how he built his concrete coal tower, which I've been heckling him now for approximately 6 months to do a presentation on. Before we have him on, though, his sponsor is O Scale Central, and then we'll have Pat on. That was a quick commercial. There we go.
Some reason it's saying unsupported format from Zoom, so we're going to skip that tonight.
All right. Well, just know that O Scale Central, David Vaughn, who was on last week, he's one of the ringleaders of O Scale Central. He's a supporter of the show and a supporter of the magazine, and we appreciate everything they do for us. So next we have one of our producers, actually. He's our backup producer to Phil. Everybody, I think, knows Pat Rivard. Pat, you're up.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that. Hopefully this will come up.
If this one doesn't work,
There we go.
There we go.
Everybody see that?
Sure.
Okay, tonight I'm going to present my building of the concrete toll tower in O scale. This model was based on a Suncoast kit, which is no longer in business. Includes plastic parts and wooden shapes representing the structures that serviced steam engines in the 50s and 60s. The assembly process was complex, involving mitered corners and so it would mimic poured cement. Additional windows were added from Grant Line and were given to the tower as well as to the sides of the main structure. The stairs were rebuilt with custom railings made from wire and plastic shapes, and a jig was used for their assembly. Lighting was installed above the doors and below the loading area. LED or LED fishing weights were employed to create weights for the chutes, which were scratch built from plastic and designed to operate with chains running through freely turning pulleys. For the unloading area, a structure was built using plastic tubing to resemble a grate for catching dumped coal. The roof was covered with plastic sheeting and ribbed with square plastic to imitate standing seam steel roofing. The primary base color was applied using a light gray Krylon spray was weathered with powders to mimic black soot. Oh, this was the fun part, boy. I'll tell you. I opened that box, pulled out my Kleenex, and cried for about a half an hour when I took a look at all that stuff. What a nightmare. As you can see, it was a lot of plastic and a lot of wood. I wondered why I did this 10 years ago, but I did it anyway. One thing I did enjoy much was the plans that they gave you were full size, which was quite helpful when it came to building this outfit. Otherwise, you could not do it. It would be just impossible. All that plastic was glued on to sheets of plastic. There's the side with a view of the stairwell that would go in the side of it. And you can see the wood in the center of the plastic shapes that were put around for the pillars that held up the coaling tower. And all the corners that I mitered so they would fit tightly, so to make it look like a poured cement. At that time, we didn't have all the fancy stuff we have now for doing 3D printing. This is the building of the side tower. It was one large structure made up of two sheets. One, the upper structure was glued to this part, and then the seam was covered with a special plastic strip. When I glued this together, I used mostly crazy glue, which was Loctite. I added the windows to the structure, and I added a few extra windows on the back side of the structure as well. There's another view. As you can see, I did some of the weathering with a darker gray finish on there. So I thought I'd lay it down on top of the track and have a look at what I was going to do. See how it would fit on the layout, how it would look. The first paint job before weathering. That's what I did. It was sprayed with this Krylon. There's the bottom view. You can see the slanted part of the under part of the body of the coaling tower. Of course, your coal would flow down into the chutes at that. And then the inside, excuse me, was painted black, so you wouldn't see anything inside other than just a black view, a dark view. On this coaling tower, I did add windows on each end of it. They weren't there originally. There I placed it over the track after I had it all done, just to see what it would look like. And it had the right amount of space on each side of the track. And you'll look right here, there's a tube running down the side of one of the pillars. That's where I ran the wiring up into the coaling tower to put the lights in the bottom of it. This thing didn't have lights, and everything I build, I put lights on if I can. And there's where I assembled the stairs. I had plans to go by, which I was able to use plastic parts for the main base of the the landings. But I also used flourish wire through square tubing that I capped off the top of the square tubing with some plastic channels. There it is with some more weathering. This thing is bloody huge. And there's the chutes that I built, and I taped them all to prepare them for painting. As you can see, the joints are well covered up, so it looks like it's poured cement. It's very difficult to do, and in some cases they suggest you use a body filler or some sort of plastic body filler. Some even said you can use stipple, which is like a plaster base. And if you put it on there, you can sand it off very smoothly. And once you give it a couple of coats of paint, it'll disappear. You won't see the joints. There's a picture of it with the plans in the background. And it's well weathered with rust coming from the platforms and the stairs. The roof is on, but there's no roof on and windows at the top yet. And you can see one of the lights up here. I also added a door at the bottom. It wasn't on there when you had the kit built. There's a side view. More weathering. And if you actually saw a concrete cooling tower, they're the dirtiest thing I ever saw in my life. I was down in, I forget where it was. Anyway, I saw one of these cooling towers, and it was dirtier than this thing.
Thurman, maybe?
Yes, yes. They're exactly like the one in Thurman. There you can see I had the chutes ready to be added on the part that I scratch built for loading the cars with. And then I had the lights installed. That's why that tubing goes up the side of this pillar here, and you can see the top part of it up here. And then I had the wiring go down to the lights underneath the unit and on the side of the unit. There's a placing it over the main track coming into the engine yard. If you look down at the bottom here, you'll see where I scratch built the grates for unloading. And the roof, I also added a black spray bomb, a black, flat black, and then I rusted it all. And there's that door that I was talking about that I added to it. And the light above it. Now the stairs themselves, I scratch built those. I made a jig so that I could scratch build the stairway itself, and then I added the railings on the side with more wire through the sides of it. You can see the wires right there. There's a view when I just put it in place. And the sanding tower in front of it. And you can see where I put the engine house right here. And the coal pit or dumping pit for firebox, they call it, dumping pit. There's a good view of the mechanisms that work the coal chutes. I use the fine chain down through the lead weights that you use for fishing, round ones. What they applied or had put in the kit would no way work the chutes if you wanted to. And I had to scratch build these pulleys so that the things would turn. So I ran a wire through here and put a cap on the ends of each one of each side. Then I used nut and bolt castings for the back part. And they actually go up and down, and they will stay where you put them after you raise them or lower them. Every once in a while you get them tangled up. There's another view. I compared it to the plans just to get an idea if I was anywhere close to what I wanted. And the face-on view. And there's a night view. I like night scenes. They seem to bring out the character of the building. And you can see all the lights around the yard. Everything adds to the structure itself. Thank you. That was a short, quick, sweet, and 12-year-old video.
Let me ask you a few questions regarding the build.
Yes.
Approximately how long did it take you to make the coal tower?
That coal tower, about a week.
Oh, it's not bad at all. You must have.
If you spend 8 hours a day,
And,
you don't do that when you're in model railroading. You and I both know that.
and what were the takeaways? I mean, you basically did a kit bash, I would say.
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was the kit, and I just what I liked about it was the plans were the best part of the whole building. They had done a very good job of making good size plans that matched what you were building. So it was easy enough to place what you were doing on top of it to see if you're following the rules that they had set aside to build this thing. So it helped a lot in that case. It means a lot. If you get good plans in a kit, you're in good shape. But if you don't, it's going to be a guessing game, especially in this particular model, especially when it comes to the stairs and landings and all that other stuff.
Let's talk about how you got the concrete look about it. So
Well, the Krylon spray at that time was a very close. I tried to get it as close as I could by weathering it. I actually sprayed that model twice. The first time I sprayed it, it didn't look right, so I sprayed it again with a different shade of gray. And then on top of that, I used actual Floquo rust, which was thinned down quite a bit, and then dry brushed onto the building itself. At that time, they didn't have all these fancy pastel, whatever it was. I applied some later, but at the time they didn't have that, so I had to use rust from Floquo when they were in business, and it made a very good job of making it look rusty.
and I'm guessing that's a tall.
Pardon me, I missed it.
How tall? Oh, I don't have my microphone on. How
Yeah,
tall?
you're okay.
How tall is the structure?
I would say the structure was about, I'd say 16 to 18 inches high.
Okay.
One of the tallest buildings on my layout. It is the tallest building. So when you were working with it, you had something hefty to work with.
And those lights you put on are incandescent or LED?
LED.
There
That
you
was
go.
the first time I started buying LED lights online. And I wish I had done it when I first started building the city scene, because I have a lot of incandescent type lights in those, and that you have a tendency to burn out on you, and then you have a heck of a time trying to get them out. LEDs last a lot longer and a lot easier to put in.
And what would you say is the most, what was the most difficult thing about the kit or the build? It wasn't a kit. The
The
most
build
difficult.
itself,
Yeah.
I would say making that plastic look like one piece of poured concrete. That was very difficult, very hard to figure out how to make it, the sanding and the finishing. What I did, I would sometimes add a little bit of glue into the seam. When
Yeah.
I sanded it, it would fill it in automatically, and it would just make a nice smooth finish. That was the most difficult part of the whole building. And then, of course, the stairway and the landings were not simple either. There was quite a bit of a challenge.
On the concrete, did you put in the casting lines or is it completely smooth or how'd you do that? Are there any like horizontal sandings or anything? Is it smooth or what was the texture like on that thing?
It's smooth.
Okay.
It is smooth. I didn't try and make it look like rough concrete. Of course, when you put the rust on, it makes it a little bit rougher than you would normally get. But it added to the texture by adding that rust.
You have the large engine house you built. You know, you have this coaling tower. Would you say this is one of the key structures on everybody sees this when they walk in the room? It's one of those structures, if you will.
You don't see it at all until you go around the mountain.
Ah,
That mountain in the background,
yeah.
right there, you can't see this thing. And you have to walk around. It's like a two. There's two different scenes in that layout. When you first come in the room, you'll see the city, and then the mountain, and a whole bunch of trees. And then after that, you go around the mountain in the layout room, and there it is. There's the engine yard.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then if you look to the right of the engine yard, you'll see the lumber yard. So it's all another scene itself. There's three different scenes in this layout. One's the engine yard, and all is involved in the engine yard. Then you have your planer mill and sawmill on the other side of that tower. And then on the other side of the mountain, you have a full city scene. And every one of these scenes has a sound system.
Oh, yeah. Which
I love it. I love the sound systems.
Well, you know,
Some night I'm going to play one of the running train running around this layout with the sound systems in the background. It doesn't overwhelm it, but you can hear them.
well, thanks to our Jeff Jordan. He has me hooked on these
Yeah.
record your own. I don't know if
Yep.
you've experimented with that, but that's another dimension to model railroading, adding the sound. That's for sure. I mean,
It sure.
we've had it for locomotives for a long time, but to have individual sounds for individual industries is something quite different. Yeah.
It adds a dimension that you can't imagine it until you put it in place. When I first turned it on, I said, I wish I'd have done this sooner.
And it was you that got me on N engineering to do that.
Yes. Yes. That's what I use.
Then Jeff Jordan with the other systems.
Mhm.
Walmart. Well, thank you. I'm glad we finally coerced you into doing this.
The next one will be different.
For additional details
Thank you.
and more in depth, this will be the feature article in the September 25 edition of New Tracks Modeler magazine, coming out in 2 weeks. So if you're not a subscriber, go
Please
on our
subscribe.
website. Yeah, go on our website. Like everything we do, it's free, but we're looking for donations. Well,
Thanks,
you.
Tom.
Yep, thank you very much. Great job.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got one of our most popular segments, and that is the MyBuild. This MyBuild is an open modeling showcase. It's a free-for-all, in the words of our Chris course. But before we have Chris on, we're going to run the New Tracks Scholarship video.
We already ran that. We ran that earlier. Why don't we run the
Oh yeah, you're right.
the ad. We'll run the MyBuild 1 minute ad here real quick.
Because you didn't post my, yeah, sorry. Jeez.
Welcome to the world of scale, O and S railroading. We are your resource for all O and S scale modeling. Both our magazines are advertiser supported and free to read online, download as a PDF, or even print. All advertisers are hot linked to their website, so if you see something you like, just click. Please check out our websites for the current issues. All back issues available free for the O-Scale Resource and the S-Scale Resource magazines. And, if you are a manufacturer, distributor, or retail establishment, please contact us through our website for advertising opportunities.
Okay, thank you. I wouldn't be confused if we followed the script. Okay, so, all right. So next, let's have Chris Course and the MyBuild.
Thanks, Tom. That'd be nice if I hit share screen here first. All right, should be popping up here. There we go. Okay, welcome to the MyBuild this month for August. It's a free-for-all, so anything goes. We've got a bunch of participants this evening. So we'll go ahead and start with should be Martin, if Martin's up. I didn't see him earlier. Is he around? I guess not. Well, here we have a couple of photos of a Martin project that I'm sure is O-scale. And I recognize these from a book that he recommended I pick up. It looks like it's quite a bit of kit bashing. I'm not sure where the base came from, but I'm going to guess that the hopper is probably something maybe O scale. If not, then it's HO scale. And what you're looking at on the back side of it is the one of the Tichy cranes. So there's one view of it, and here is a second view of it. So thanks for sending those, Martin. Does anybody have any comments that they would like to make on this interesting creature?
It's a definite or car, and I'll bet it's HO or S at the very, one of those two.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
unique car. What do you suppose this thing's doing for us?
I think it's probably a maintenance of way. It does have your
Electric, you see.
your semaphore on up there, so it is electric.
So it's self-propelled. Or
Maintenance of way of some sort.
yeah.
Ballast-
Oh, for
ballast.
ballasting.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
He's a magician.
Yeah.
I thought for sure we'd have him on live here.
Well, it was kind of interesting to as we talked about but hopefully this is a slow drawback of Martin. Hopefully we'll get him back on here.
As I said prior to the show, he is one of the most skilled modelers in the country. And I can say that he's not listening, no doubt, or he'd be on. But he's a hell of a modeler, and we wish him well and hope he comes back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing with us, Martin, and hope this is just step one of your return. All right, next up we've got Greg Cassidy. You up, Greg? I thought I saw you earlier.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
And I'm glad Martin's pictures are back, so I'm not always first.
Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why he's mad. But
okay, what I want to show you tonight is a little blacksmith shop in O scale that's made by Calvin Witt. This is a young man from California that I met at the Harrisburg O scale narrow show back in June. And he had brought a bunch of his little laser cut kits to the show to sell them. This blacksmith shop I picked up for $5, and I'll show it to you. Next slide. So, it's very basic. This is what you get in it. And show special, I didn't get any instructions, but who needs them with something like this? It's just really nicely laser cut walls, corner stock, tissue windows, a roof. It came with the glazing and stuff, and a door assembly. Next slide. And this is, once I finished it, the basic assembly, I just stained the wood, braced it, put it together. The corner bracing and stuff, I poked nail holes in. The sign that's on it is one that I made on the computer for my ON18 layout that this is going to go on. And after painting the wood and the windows and stuff, one thing I like to do is, if you're going to have a building with dirty windows, I use a very, very thin solution of raw umber and just brush it on the windows and then let it dry. And I think it comes out looking really good. Next slide. And this shows my starting to weather using artist pigments. I love using these things. And if you can see there on the roof, on the left side is where I've applied some of them. And they just kind of blend everything in and make everything look dusty and give it a little bit of texture, and I like doing that. And you can see some of the other pigments that I'm going to use in the background. Next slide. And this is once I was done using all of the pigments, and I like how they can blend in different shades. When I was doing the staining, I used a couple different stains for darker ones near the bottom. And this kind of blends it all together, and I like the way that they come out. You can sort of get similar effects from pan pastels, but not the same. And I love working with these things. I've used pastels as well, but these things are great. And if you buy them in large quantities from an artist supply, they're the same as you get from the smaller containers of modeling powders and stuff like that. Next slide. And this is it finished. One of the great things about his kits is you can modify them any way you want. This was especially supposed to be a blacksmith shop, and I added a couple little things to make it the office for my railroad. Um, but when you start with something basic like this that barely costs you anything, if you order this online from his Etsy store, it's $16 with free shipping. In fact, everything that he has is free shipping right now. I hope that continues. But it makes it really easy to go ahead and just use one of them as a basis for any kind of kit bash that you want to do. Next. And this is going to be its approximate location on the ON18 layout that I'm building. The layout's only 2x2. It's portable, a mini layout, and it's just a little mining railroad that runs from the French Henry Mine in northern New Mexico. And I'm just starting to work on the mountains in this photo. I'm almost done with them now. I'm getting ready to paint them. I'm going to use primarily his buildings on the layout. And, this building could be anything you want it to in almost any era and any location. Next. And, I was so taken with what I got at the show that I went ahead and ordered 3 more kits from him. These 2 have already arrived, the firewood shed and the mine entrance, which I'm using at the mine. And again, I think these were basically $8 and $10 again with free shipping. And the third thing I've ordered that just arrived, but I didn't get a picture of it in time, is 2 little sheds that I got, that at least one of them is going to end up on the layout. More likely both of them, except they won't look the same probably. But I can't recommend going to Etsy and looking for Calvin Whitt enough if you want to get some O-scale bases for some kind of kit bash or something. Just take a look at his stuff. And I think that's it, Chris.
Yep, sure is. This kind of actually brings up an interesting topic that I've been kind of kicking around with kind of Wingo models for a little bit. Would people actually be interested in a kit that's just very, very basic with no directions?
I think some people are, especially modelers who are looking for a basis for something else that they can kit bash into something they like. It's important for it to be at the right price point. And, frankly, the blacksmith shop, when he had it on the show table for $5, I said, it would be criminal to pass that up.
Yeah.
But if you create something that's kind of basic, you don't have to flourish it with all the details or instructions, really, if it's something basic that somebody's going to use for kit bashing, because what do they need instructions for? I think there is a market for that.
Okay.
And yes, he is located on Etsy, which is a shopping platform for people who make and sell their own stuff. That's ETSY. And his name is Calvin Whitt. WITT.
Yep. All right. Are there any questions for Greg? All right. Well, thanks, Greg. Appreciate your involvement as usual. So
Well,
we
and
look
thank
forward
you to
to
you, Chris. I appreciate you always running this show for us. I think we all do.
Greg, quick question. How did you fix the those pigments on that building?
I don't. If you're doing structures that aren't going to be handled a lot, there's no need to.
Okay.
If you're doing cars or structures that will be handled a lot, you could go ahead and do an overspray of dull coat tends to really lighten stuff up. I like to use Tamiya dull spray because it doesn't do that as much.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tamiya, that's interesting.
But Earl, they actually tend to adhere to the wood quite a bit. In fact, it's not at all uncommon for me to overdo one area and have difficulty getting some of it off. Again, it depends on the material you're putting them on, but wood, they really adhere to that.
Yeah, they seep in a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thanks, Greg.
Mhm.
Now we'll move on to Phil. Oh, Phil, I know you're here.
Phil just lost his internet apparently.
Ah, okay.
He
All
just
right.
called
Well,
me.
what we can do is come back and we'll come back to him when he comes back up. But
Yeah.
we'll move on and then come back. Let's see here. I hate to blow through the previews, but here we go. All right. Next up, got Bob Farquhar. Are you up, Bob?
Yes, sirree.
All righty.
I did this diorama from a kit at HO scale by Interaction in British Columbia. And I can't really see the name that well on the roof, but it's named after a great modeler named Greg Cassidy. Go to the next one. This all wood kit, pretty much all laser cut. I mean, that's just, I like doing details. Either the next one. The sign is it looked like it's taping back, but it did fixed up later. But in the gas meter there on the side comes with the kit. I think that's all of, or is maybe another picture, I think.
There was 3 of them.
Oh, okay, that'd be
Let's
it then.
see.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Okay.
Right. Or the interior is all detailed too, and there's lighting in there. Didn't
Yeah.
show it in the pictures, but I showed this once before several years ago. But yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks, Bob. Are there any questions for Bob?
Yeah, Bob, how did you do the rusting on the roofing on this side and especially on the other side?
It's the pen pastels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other side, I mean, I swear it looks like it's just really rusted roofing.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful job. And thank you so much.
Righty.
All right. All right. Thanks, Bob. Is Phil back up yet? Okay. All right. We'll move on. Let's see. Bill Freeland. I actually had the privilege to go over to Bill's house. He lives about 15 minutes from here on Friday, and he showed me. Unfortunately, I haven't seen him since we got together with Greg back in, what was that, November, when we went to Howard Zane's.
Yeah, I think it was October, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, it was it's been a long time since I was over at Bill's, but since then he has had to basically redo several large sections of his layout, and he had I forget the guy's name, but he came over and did a lot of redoing of his track work, and he also did a bunch of rewiring in terms of these open switch deals where you flip one switch and it basically will guide a train through a whole series of different switches. It's pretty cool. And somehow I guess this guy did it in his head. So if I could find out who that guy is, maybe we can get hold of him and get him on the show. But anyway, so Bill is not able to make the show tonight because he's at an operating session, but he shared a few things, and I will bring those forth as soon as I pull up my notes here. Okay, the first one is that's the new look for Pittsburgh that he has on his B&O layout. Matter of fact, I think when I was at his house, he had just talked about doing this. He didn't actually have it up yet. It was just something that had come from a fellow modeler that I can't remember if the guy had passed away or if he had just given up the hobby because of aging out. But this is a brand new deal here that he did between what was it? Friday was over there, Friday and today. So he's done quite a bit in a very short period of time. So that's the new look for Pittsburgh, is putting up a steel plant. And then let's see. This is one of the 3 new automated control panels that was put up. Basically, it's kind of a neat system in that you turn that blue dial, and what it will do is it'll arrange all the switches to allow a train to go in a specific direction through from the main line off and through the side switches and back to wherever. There's also a mode where you can that little black cap that's on there, you can pop that off and insert a key. When you turn the key, you can actually manually operate those switches. So that's a pretty big deal. Something I really don't think I'd ever have the time to wrap my head around doing, but there are people out there that are willing to do that. So if you know them, please, I wouldn't say take advantage of them, but put them to work if you can. And then let's see, this is this actually, he has a 4-level layout, and this is the top level. This is the level that actually had to have the most amount of work done. You can see about halfway through the picture, there is like where the green ends and the brown begins. The green is actually the fascia, and what Bill has done is basically he has redone this whole setup here so that whole thing velcros on. He could pull that whole deal off and redo it if he needs to get back behind there and do work up on top, because this is about that level is about 6 feet in the air. So Bill's taken and basically the trees you see there are cut in half so that they fit on that fascia pretty well. And then let's see. Okay, so this is a view of the top level, that level 4. He said he's laid track to Buffalo. So this is something you just me being short, I don't see this. So he's got a lot going on with this layout, and I think that was another thing that his buddy had done, was taken and they pulled the whole thing up and they found that 1/8 inch pink insulation, and they put that throughout and painted it and then tacked a track down on top of it. He says it runs very well. And also along with that, there's a new waterfall that he put in. Not sure what he used for that, but it looks, I'm pretty sure it's not like a realistic water or anything like that. I think it's some harder epoxy that he used. So that's it for these photos for Bill Freeland. Thanks for sharing, Bill. Hopefully you can watch this on YouTube later on. And I can try to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Chris, whereabouts is it that he lives?
He is in Northeast Maryland.
Okay.
So I drive by there every day.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
Pat here. Is each one of those levels a different scene, like a winter scene, a summer scene, spring scene?
I'm not, how should I?
It looks like it.
There are some areas that are winter. There are some areas that are fall.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, yeah, I think as you go throughout the layout, the scenery changes. I never really paid a whole lot of attention to that. But let's see if we can see this lower level down here.
Yeah, it's all fall down there.
That's fall. And the one definitely that second level is definitely fall. But looking a little further down, that bottom layer, that might actually be like spring.
Spring or summer.
Yeah.
I kind of looked at that and I said, it looks like 3 different seeds.
Yeah, but then here we
Or-
are. Well, okay, yeah, it might be a different season on each level. I'll have to ask him about that.
I
Hey,
like those buildings.
Yeah.
hey, Chris,
Yes.
that scene does look like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And when you're ready, Phil is ready. He's back in the game.
All right. Back it up to Phil then.
Sorry, I had an internet failure, I think.
I had a heart failure.
My internet's getting ready to go here at some point. Every time I use the printer, I have to restart the whole thing and unplug it for like 5 minutes, and then
Yeah,
like the dog
it
cam
just
doesn't work, and it's a
it
mess.
crashed out on both my computer and my phone. I don't know, just Comcast went away. So this was, you guys probably went through the slides, but I'll go through them real quick, a little more explanation. This was part of my modular group, ON30 group. We had one of our members had a stroke, and he had about 7 modules, and we all of a sudden were very short of modules. So we ended up building 2 4-foot modules that were crossovers. And I thought I'd just go through real quickly, kind of a quick construction. And part of the thought for building these was to use the Woodland Scenics buildings and see if you could do them in a way that they would actually look really good on a module. So I just wanted to put in one slide here on module construction. So we have the advantage of having one of our members has a cabinet shop. So we build these. They're actually built with a face frame. So what you see on the left is the face frame. On the right, you see that face frame with 1/4-inch plywood on it, across it to have foam on it. And then you have 1/2-inch sides and 1/2-inch end plates. And then there are pockets there for the legs. These things are just incredibly strong. Just very good. Go ahead and jump to the next slide.
Are they heavy?
Not heavy at all. In fact, one of the other ones, if you go back slide previous, one of the other slides, I actually put a, like a gate handle on the centerpiece, and you can actually pick it up with one hand. It weighs about maybe 6 or 7, 8 pounds, something like that. Really not that heavy. So the wood is popular. The framing wood is all, good core poplar. So go jump to the next one. So this next one is just a picture of basically with the 1/4-inch sides on it. We put fascia boards on the sides that are 1/4-inch. That lets you do whatever shaping you want. And you can see they're kind of pre-shaped for what I wanted the scenery to be. The little square hole in the center is for a Cat 5 plug. We use Cat 5 wiring. The 2 blocks on the ends, you notice on the module, it's already got it laid out where the buildings are going to be and where the track's going to go. Those are designed to solve a problem that we've run into in modular, which is when you use foam and you put your track on foam, the foam tends to shrink over the years. And what happens is you get a ski jump right at the edge. So by building essentially a progressive movement from the solid edge to the foam, you can actually eliminate that ski jump. So I'll show you kind of the next step on the next slide. Go ahead, jump. So this is gluing foam on. I use Gorilla Glue, and you basically find everything you can in the garage. You can see my wife got a great sale on Tide at Costco. And so I put a lot of Tide boxes on there. Gorilla Glue, because it blows up, you have to put weight on it. But when you do that, this stuff is just incredibly solid. When you put the 1/4-inch plywood with a piece of 1-inch or 2-inch foam on it and glue it on with Gorilla Glue. Next slide. So this is after having the foam laid down. These are the 2 structures. So I chose these 2. They're those Woodland Scenic structures. One thing to do is kind of look at, especially the gas station there. So this was before it was weathered. So one of the things I found was if you take these structures and you just do some good weathering on them, and basically dirty them up as you put them into the environment, they come out looking actually pretty good. What you can see is I use HomeBed actually across the foam instead of putting the track directly on the foam. And what you can see at the end there is actually how that HomeBed then comes on to that wood. And if you jump to the next slide, this is actually a picture of the end. So this is a piece of wood that's been essentially cut to match the profile of the HomeBed. So what happens is the track actually comes from the foam onto this wood, and then the wood use what are called gap masters. There are these tie plates that are 2 tie plates. They're designed to put where you tie rails together And if you put 2 of those on there and glue those down and then solder the rails to them, it makes the rails really solid on the end of the layout where you connect to the next layout. Let's go ahead and jump to the next slide. So this is the track down. This is just micro engineering track glued down. Basically use liquid nails to glue the Homa bed down to the foam, and then use caulk to glue the track down to the Homa bed. And you can see at the end there, at the very bottom, you can see those 2 PC ties, the gap master that's actually on there. And those allow you to solder the rails on both sides. You get about a 1/2 inch of solder. So they're very solid on the ends of the track. We build all of our modules with the track held back 1 inch, and then use 2-inch, just not plates, but just rails as joiners between the sections. You can also see I've laid out where the building locations go. If you jump to the next slide, one of the things that figured out was that if you look at that gas station, you don't want to put it up on top of the foam. So what I did was actually set it up so that it would go on the foam, but the actual pavement would be recessed into the foam, so it wouldn't come up over it. So what you're seeing here is actually routing out about 1/8 of an inch of foam, and the little rounded section there you see in the middle is where the gas stalls, where the gas pumps go. I'm going to jump to the next slide, which shows that all routed out. And then the little bit of cleaning out to the right, which is going to become a pond. And you'll notice that I've kind of notched over there where the track where the pavement's going to go up over the track to provide a crossing has actually been notched up there. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. So this is basically painting the track. Paint the track with, you can see back there at the back, that camouflage earth brown. And then the ties in this case were actually individually airbrushed a little bit to make them kind of unique and make them look unique. I decided to go ahead and tape off all of the rest of the layout because I didn't want to get the brown on it. If you look on the left, one of the things to do is everything gets covered with Sculptamold. So it's been filled in there with Sculptamold where the gas station base is. You can see where the base of the station is, and you can see the pink there where the pumps are going to go. So next slide. So use very fine sand to actually do asphalt. Seems to work really well. You can just glue it on top. I said use the Sculptamold and then fill it with a little bit of wallboard paste to make it smooth, and then cover that with sand. And so this is designed now so that when you look at it, it's going to look actually like pavement. And it's actually been blocked, if you notice, where the tracks are going to go, so I can put in, where I later can put in rails. And if you look closely, you can see there's plastic in between the rails, in between those pieces of wood and in between the rails, so this sand doesn't stick, because it's going to get a wood crossing there. You notice that I've already put in place there a couple of blocks to put in crossing signals. So go ahead and jump to the next one. One of the things I wanted to do is put a crossing in, and I wanted to have the sound come out. So I built this little thing that goes underneath the layout and has a speaker in it, and the sound comes out through a hole. And then you put a bush on top of that, so the sound comes out right next to the crossing. You notice I've also added in here one of the Woodland Scenics lamp posts. And then if you look back at the back, you can see the gas pumps from the Woodland Scenics gas station structure there. Go ahead, next slide. And so this is basically that speaker thing screwed onto the bottom of the layout. And then I just glued on that with a little bit of goo, a speaker, and put about a 1.5 inch diameter speaker. And it's quite loud, which is very good when you're at a public show where there's a lot of noise around. By the way, if you notice there to the right, that little bit of silver, that's actually the handle that I put on, so you can lift this up and hold it with one hand. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. So didn't get a lot of slides in the interim, but this is the beginning of getting everything put in place. So the gas station is put in place, the house is put in place. What I did was use static grass, and used basically long static grass everywhere except for in the backyard, where I used very short static grass inside where the fence is. And the idea was to create that contrast of a well-kept yard with the outside being much more native, so to speak. And on the left, you can see the roof of the gas station, the beginning of that it's actually been weathered there. And look at the siding. So instead of having that kind of nice white plastic or white painted plastic look you get from Woodland Scenics, it's been well weathered. The same thing with the house. And they actually start to look very good as a model, something you can buy off the shelf. Not sure I'd recommend it for everyone, but doing something very quick, it's actually a quick way to get something done. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. And so this is just another picture of kind of the scenery coming together, the track, how it looks when everything's down and a little bit of ballast on it. And the right is a fence kit. I think this was a Bar Mills fence kit. And it was done with some, obviously some staining, and then some red paint with the rubber cement method to make it a little peeled. So they're actually gluing the fence to the posts that were set into the base, obviously through the sculpting mold and the styrofoam, and they're pinned into the base. So the fence actually goes up against the posts that are there, and you can see the trees. The trees are all wire wrapped, handmade, scratch built trees, and so you see they're sitting there. They're not in the ground yet. I'm going to jump to the next slide. So one of the things I did, we were talking about this earlier, is inside the gas station, up inside the roof there's actually one of those little modular speakers. They sell them. They're like a 1.1, 1.2 inch square cube with a speaker in it. And it's actually mounted up in the roof. I bought from the ITT Products, the guy down in LA, in Los Angeles, who sells, he sells basically sound modules. I think they're about $45 for one of them now. What I did was I had him reduce the sound in the sound module down. So what you get is a couple of air guns, kind of the zzz of an air gun, and then you get that ding, 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 ding that you used to get at a gas station. And so that's set up so that the kids can push the button and get the sound. And it lets you have a great conversation with the parents about, what was that sound? What happened? And does anybody do that for you today? And then there's a car there getting serviced. It's not on the left, but if you look at the picture on the right, you can actually see the car getting serviced. The black car, by the way, is one of the Woodland Scenics cars that lights up. So I actually, because I had some Woodland Scenics lighting for the structures, the car and the light pole, I actually put one of the Woodland Scenics modules underneath this for lighting, and actually have the separate 16 volt. And you can see my little whatever you want to call it, pond there now has some water in it. Go ahead and jump to the next slide. And I think this is the last slide. I actually took these in the racks that these sit in. So you can kind of see the rack there. The module that sits above this is out of the rack. And I thought it was kind of good. So I thought I'd close. So who knows where Hill Valley, a nice place to live, is? Does anybody remember
Back to the Future.
Back to the
it's from Back to the Future. So kind of one of those things you want to have on a module and people come. But it's a cool module because the sound, it's set up so that as the trains go through, the signals come on, gives you a chance to blow your horn. It actually looks pretty reasonable. I ended up doing a little bit of repair where the crossing is. You can see it's a little darker there. So to cover that, I put down signs that say caution, wet oil. So the tar and gravel has been retarred. Anyway, that was the build I wanted to show this week.
Cool. Yeah,
Thanks.
that's an interesting thought, is using like Woodland Scenics, because on a modular, it's going to that's going to travel quite a bit. I know my models have got thousands of miles on them, and they have a tendency to show it. So every now and then, I know I've got to pull them out and put them back together again.
Sometimes this thing was built in 2017, 16, 17, somewhere back then. And it's probably been to 6 shows a year since. And the pictures you're seeing right now on the screen were literally taken earlier in the week or last week. And so it's held up really well. The only thing that I've had a challenge with is the black car. Kids tend to grab it and pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had a couple of figures stolen and that kind of thing, but it's a nice little quick module. And the idea was to try to do something a little bit quicker.
Is this HO?
No, it's O scale. It's
Oh, it is.
O30.
Okay.
Yep.
Bill, can I ask you, you said you used a fine sand for the asphalt. Did you use Activa or something else?
No, I had some fine sand my wife bought for something in a bag, and I just used that.
Okay.
It was just,
Was it like aquarium or terrarium sand or something?
It wasn't probably quite that fine.
Okay.
I think if I was to do this again now, I would probably try to find a little bit finer sand, but it looks pretty reasonable. And it's painted with the, the Woodland Scenics asphalt that comes in a big tube that's black. And that tends to kind of smooth it out when you paint it, because that's a pretty thick paint.
Yeah, it kind of fills in little crevices.
Fills it in, so it makes it just kind of bumpy. That it looks like asphalt. I didn't put any cracks or anything in it at the time. Just kind of made it smooth, kind of what I remember when I was a kid. And asphalt always looked pretty good where I lived. So,
nice job. Thanks.
Bill, I got a quick idea for you. Since you have the ding ding for the station, why don't you put a real thin piece of wire from inside the station out through the front of it, so when the car runs over it goes ding ding. It just gives that idea.
Yeah, put a little piece of of wire on either side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been a good idea of thought of before I put everything down, but I guess I can add it in now and just kind of run it up to the edges. That's good. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Now, Pat, we know Phil. He's going to engineer somehow to make it actually ring the bell.
No, I like it's amazing when you do something where kids come.
Yeah.
Having buttons that they push and something happens is really delightful for them. We put some buttons on the other club layout I'm in, and we made some sound systems that are like directed sound overhead. And we did it for the 2019 Transcontinental Centennial. And you push the button and it basically played something that talked about the Transcontinental Railroad and building it and that. And what's amazing is watch these kids, they push the button and all they're doing is looking around for something to happen. So if you can have something where you push a button and something happens, it's pretty cool.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Phil. Yeah. Thanks, Phil. It's sparked some discussion here. So are there any more questions for Phil before we move on?
Yeah, Phil, I have one question. What year is your Porsche?
Well, it was an 89, but I actually sold it a few years ago. I just decided I wasn't using it. It had 100,000 miles on it. And I actually was concerned it needed a clutch. And when you do the clutch, you have to do the top of the engine. And that was going to be about 10 grand. And then I figured the problem is if you blow the engine up, it's 25 grand. So I decided it was not a car that I could use as an everyday driver. And I just didn't want to keep it as just a kind of weekend go to shows kind of car. So I sold it on.
Very nice.
It was a fun car.
Cool. Any more questions? All right, well, thanks, Phil. And now we'll move on to Ron Kleiss. You up, Ron? Saw you up earlier. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Okay. I hit mute by accident. Thanks for having me.
Yep, thanks for coming on, Ron.
All right, so I own MyMount Models, and I'm just going to share a couple of kits that I have, a new kit coming out and some ideas that are going to be coming out soon, and some of my past models that I've been putting out, a couple of series that just over the past year. So if you can just flip through the pictures and I'll.
Yep. Yeah, I tried to put them in a logical order, so hopefully they come out that way.
That's more than what I did, I guess. This is my newest kit that'll be coming out real soon. This is Glenn's Greasy Spoon Grill. It's a little kit. It's the first one that'll be on a Main Street style models. I think the next little picture will show some of the drawings that I already have. If you go to the next slide. Oop, yeah. All right. This is Echo Point Harbor series. This was the big building in the back was my first limited run kit that was ground transfer. And then there were an additional 6 or 7 other buildings that I put out over the year that basically just complemented the scene. They can be used in several areas, but a lot of them were oceanfront, seaside area type style buildings. They're all available on the website, except for Crown Transfer. That one is done. That was limited run. Next. A couple accessories. The one on the left, that's a water tank. I originally designed that for my Wilson's Mustards kit, and a lot of people were asking for the tank, so I put that out. I have a couple other accessory models that you can add to scenes and stuff. You'll probably I'll see those in a little bit. The one on the right is a lighthouse. That's Echo Point Lighthouse. That was part of the Echo Point series. That was actually based off of when I visited Mystic, Connecticut. That was mentioned earlier in the show tonight. Walking around and seeing all those cool buildings, and of course the little lighthouse caught my eye. And when I started designing the scene, I wanted to have a lighthouse on it, safe harbors and everything, but I didn't want a giant 10-story lighthouse or something like that. So I ended up looking through my pictures and said, oh yeah, the trip to Mystic. So I started looking at measurements and stuff, the Mystic Lighthouse, and that was a perfect candidate for the model. Next. There's another model that I included with the Echo Point Harbor series. This is a half-sunken boat. This is a combination of resin 3D printed parts and laser cut parts. It is an actual half hull. You don't get a full boat. It's as if it crashed or it's sunk in the side of a marsh or something like that, and you can weather it up to however bad shape you want it to be in. That's a neat little kit that it adds to your scenes. Next. This is the Pier Dock. I built a kit. It's called Pier 7 Food and Fuel, and I put the pier separately, so you can buy either the whole scene with the buildings and accessories and details and the pier included, or you can buy just this pier, and it can be configured in a couple of different variations depending on what kind of shape or scene you need to do. Everything that you see in that is included in the kit, minus the barnacles. You got to put your own barnacles on. Next. All right, so this is the full scene. This is the Pier 7 model itself. And that has all the details and signs and 3D printed stuff. There's all the parts to make the kit, the shingles, the multi staggered shingles and stuff like that. All the awnings, all the seagulls, the gas pumps. The only thing you don't get in that picture is basically the people and the tree in the background. But you get that slow speed sign that can be mocked up and put in your water also. You don't want any wake happening around your docks. That's a disaster waiting to happen. All right, next. There's another little kit from the Echo Point series. This is the charters, boat charters. This was actually, I got the design. My brother-in-law owns a boat charter. He has sailing ships out of Portland, Oregon, or I'm sorry, Portland, Maine. And his little kiosk where he sells the tickets and t-shirts and everything, this is basically exactly the same size and shape and as that little kiosk that they have to sell their tickets on the docks. All right, next. This is a conveyor. I made this for my McGurk coal. I designed this as laser cut and 3D printed parts. And this is available by itself. They sell like crazy at the shows, and actually they sell pretty well on the websites too. But some people have all different types of coal dealers, but the only other major one that I've seen a couple other ones, but the main one that most people have on their layouts is the Walthers one. That's kind of plain, so I wanted to have something a little different. And this is based off of 2 designs that I kind of mushed together. So it's not an exact 100% prototype, but it definitely fills the bill. Next. Another little accessory that's pretty popular. This one is my industrial racking. I designed this for one of my really early kits. It doesn't come with the piping. It's just little racks and the bars and stuff that connect them. They have I have 3 different shapes that you get on the sheet, and you can build it to multiple different lengths. You can have one rack. You can have it as long as 24 inches worth of racks if you wanted to. are available in HO, S, and O scale. And people have used them for piping, for lumber, for canoe rentals. They've hung bars across the orange bars, and they've put like rods across and hung plants and stuff for like a florist. So they're pretty versatile little kits. Next. This is Krabby Jackie's. This is a very interesting little building. This always catches people's eyes on my displays. This one, I was looking for ideas for that Echo Point Harbor series, and I typed in boathouse, thinking the usual boathouse that most people think of, and this thing came up, the inspiration for this. I'm like, that's pretty weird. So it's a half hull, as you can see, cut in half again, and there's like little towns. As I did the more research, I found all over the world these little towns and stuff along the shores where they would just repurpose old boats and make them into sheds. They'd make them into little houses. They made them into businesses and stuff, and just a pretty neat little idea. So I designed this kit, and it actually ended up being one of my most popular kits selling now. Next.
I think this is the last one.
Koening's Rope and Pulley. This one here is named after Clark Koenig. I think he's been on this show a few times. He is a good friend. He's been had my back since the very beginning when I started my company and stuff. And just a neat little kid. This was a little inspiration. I found an old black and white photo. It was actually a farmhouse, but in the background of this picture, you could barely see it, was actually this structure that you see. And it was only from one angle. So I just kind of extrapolated the back of it, but this is basically what the front of it looked like. And that's a neat little kit. That's been repurposed for multiple uses. People have told me they've made all kinds of different shops and stuff. And I'm not sure if that's it or not.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. So if anybody's interested, I have a lot more other kits. This is just some of my newer kits that you see. You can go to My Mount Models and check that out, mymountmodels.com, or I'm at train shows. We'll be at the Narrow Gauge show coming up in September, September, first week of September. We'll be out there in St. Louis. We're going to be at the Timonium show with Chris in October. You're going, Chris, right?
Yep, sure am. And absolutely. I imagine Greg will probably be there too.
Oh yeah, always see Greg. So yep, you can go see us at Timonium in October, and then the next show will be in January at the Springfield show, that tiny little show up there in Massachusetts.
Hey, Ron, I have a question for you about the Echo Point Lighthouse. It's covered in shingles. What is the round base for that lighthouse?
The actual stone base is a 3D printed foundation. And the conical roof is 3D printed, but the actual base of the cone shape of the actual lighthouse building is there's a frame of like an MDF that I made, and then I cut out I'm not sure what the shape would be. It's like a cone if you laid it flat.
Okay.
And you wrap it around and you glue it into place, and then the front, you build a little front door and glue that on in the front of it.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering if it was wood that was bent round, or if it was like a PVC pipe or something like that. But
no, it's got the actual conical shape to it. So it's a real thin laser board that wraps around and glue it and put rubber bands and stuff is the best way that I ended up finding out how to get that odd shape to clamp it in place. It's just a bunch of rubber bands and it holds it while it dries.
Okay, it's a neat little building. I wish I had a port scene on my layout.
Yeah, I've got mine right here.
There you go.
Yep,
that's a good one. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. Thanks for coming, Ron. Are there any questions for Ron? All right, so that's mindmountmodels.com. If you have any questions on that, or if you're interested in purchasing that. So thanks for coming on, Ron.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And all right, let's see. Father Ron is up next, but he said he can't make it, but he did send us a photo of a Western Scale Models blacksmith shop that he had purchased quite a while ago. And he said it was basically it showed up as a bunch of sticks, so he had to do an awful lot of work. It was he had basically provided about 2 pages of everything that he did to put this thing together, and it was quite an endeavor. So hopefully we can see it together and see, well, it is together. Just maybe in the future we'll see see a little bit more of it and get a good like not a bird's eye view, but like a street level view of it. But it took a lot of work on his part. He mentioned having to use the Optivisor for a lot of the details on it. So thanks for sharing that, Father Ron, and I'll answer any questions if I can, if anybody has any. Alrighty.
That's the HO kit, right?
Yes, it says HO scale right there.
Yeah.
But if you go, and he mentioned if you go to Western Scale Models, the website is still up, but it hasn't been updated since 2017. So we're not sure if they're still in business or how things are working with Western Scale Models right now.
Yeah, I built the O scale version of that kit, and it's a challenge in no scales. I can't imagine an HO.
Yeah. All right.
Great job, Chris.
Okay, thank you. And thanks to everybody that participated tonight. Oh, you know what? We got a couple more. All right, so the upcoming MyBuild challenges and shows on September 24th is a challenge. It'll be backdrops, and kind of along those same lines, if you have layout photos you want to throw in there too, because backdrops is pretty tight. I think actually I'm going to I've been working on a background kit that I'm going to try to have ready and premiere on the September 24th show. So please, if you have stuff to send us, I actually have two submissions for it already, but please send us more. And for even future shows, please send us whatever you've got. Say, hey, this is for the December show or whatever. Anyway, so for the September 24th challenge, please have your photos to me by the 21st. That way I can take and put everything together into the slideshow and make it one cohesive unit. And after our discussion last week before the show, I'm going to make October 22nd a challenge also. We're going to make it Halloween and oddities. I know we had quite a bit of fun with that in the last few years, but unfortunately, somehow it didn't do well in the voting. But I want to throw it in there anyway, because that's just the perfect time to be doing that sort of thing. So if you have submissions for that, please get them to me by October 19th. And then back into November, anything goes. Along those same lines, we've tried to make these challenges vague, so you can you can take some serious creative liberties to doing whatever you can to fit in. And if you don't fit, I don't care. I just want photos, something we can show, something that talks about your work, and or maybe something you found or something you need help with. Whatever you've got, please send us those those photos. Also, if you have not participated before, or hey, I want to participate, but I'm not going to be able to make the show, please be sure to send us a description. That way I can talk semi-intelligently about it. We had a couple people that I did that with tonight. Hopefully I didn't sound like a total moron. And I hopefully prop their stuff up a little bit to the best that I can. So, and also, if you have not participated before, please be sure to include a photo of yourself for your intro slide. So, thank you to everyone for watching, and especially a thank you to those that participated. So with that, I will stop share and turn it back over to you, Tom.
Thank you, Chris. Great program. A lot of modelers. It's interesting how you get all these guys right at the very end, just like I do. It's like panic, panic, panic. Oh, we We have a lot now. That's the nature of the business, I suppose. Great job. Yep. Excellent program. So that concludes our show for this evening. We're going to have the close. Father Ron couldn't be with us, so we'll roll his video, and then Phil will have a caboose. So if we can. Or not.
If I could find Father Ron, I would, but it has disappeared. I don't know what I thought I had it here. Hang on.
Give me a second. I think I got it.
Yeah,
Here we
hang on.
go.
Go for it.
We got it.
Creator of the world, as modelers and makers, we recognize the intricacy and the beauty of our world. We thank you for the vision and the artistry you have given us. Continue to bless us with your creative spirit. Amen. Creator of the world, as modelers and...
Okay. Well, thank you, Father Ron. And now, Phil, if we would, the caboose for this evening.
This is a caboose that was a three-rail layout at the NMRA convention in Novi, and it was quite impressive. The modeling was outstanding.
Well, that concludes today's show, and thanks to everyone who participated. Excellent presentations by Jamie Bothwell, Pat Rivard, and of course, Chris Corse, putting together the MyBuild excellent program this evening. Next week, I will be personally featured with the Brennan's Model Railroading Garfield Substation, and we'll see you next week. Thank you again for watching.